Morning friends, Russell here, coming to you from the shop. Yeah, it's cold here. Even in the office, it's cold. Wanted to do just a quick update on the CJ-7 and the 4.6 stroker that we're building for it. And I know it's been a while since I put a video out. Yeah, the Rona got me, so yeah, we're back at the shop now. We're working. So a quick update on the CJ-7. As well as the 4.6 stroker build. So for starters, we took the crank to the machine shop, had it turned down, and I've got it right here. So we got the crank back, and you can see it's turned down and polished. We turned the mains 20 and the rods 10, so not a problem getting bearings for it. Came out really nice. Got it oiled up so that we don't get any new corrosion on it. And we just keep it in the office bagged. So crank's back, it's ready to go. See if I can pick this up while I hold the camera. Move it back into the corner so nobody kicks it over. As well as we took the cylinder head to the machine shop and had work done on it, and we've forgotten it back. And we'll walk out here and I'll show it to you. So here's our cylinder head. It is a, what is that casting number? 0630 casting. But it's from a 96, and the difference, the 0630 casting was used from 96 to God knows whenever, until they went to the 0330 or 331 or whatever it was. But the difference is on a 96, it's bossed for water temp sensor, a standard old school water temp sensor. Machine shop we use does real good work. Did a 3-angle valve job, cleaned everything up, as well as we put new valve springs on. We went with the valve springs for a 91 to 95 because that factory cam had more lift than the 96 cams, and therefore the springs were stiffer and can take a higher lift camshaft. So that's pretty much it as far as the stroker build goes. As you can see, the block is not there anymore. It is off at the machine shop to get bored. So that's it as far as stroker motor update goes. Let's talk about the CJ-7 and where we're at with that. And I'm going to start with the radiator. Now, you would look at that and say that's the original radiator. And you're kind of partially right. That is a radiator from a CJ-7, but that is not the original radiator. This is a replacement radiator. And the reason I know it's a replacement radiator, because it's got bosses for the cooling for an automatic transmission. And my Jeep is a manual. This also is the standard cooling radiator, which is kind of funny. The standard radiator was a 3-core radiator, or 2-core, I think 3-core. But it was thicker. It was a thick radiator. And you can see the damage here. That's from the mechanical fan bouncing on it. One of the few options that my CJ-7 had was heavy duty cooling. The standard radiator had larger tanks and a smaller surface area, but it was like a 3-core copper brass radiator, standard cooling. But the surface area was smaller, and you didn't have a reservoir. So your outflow, your boil over outflow went out the passenger side and just overboard. The heavy duty cooling your overflow went off the driver's side and went to a reservoir tank. And the only reason I know this Jeep came with heavy duty cooling is the original reservoir tank was on it. So I managed to find, and I'll put a link in the description at the bottom, a company in Gadsden, Alabama that makes all aluminum heavy duty cooling radiators for these. Made in the USA, considerably cheaper than, say, going to a Griffin. And Griffin radiators, honestly, is just down the road from us. But they couldn't beat this price because basically Radiators USA or whoever it was in Alabama was making these, and another company in Gadsden, Alabama bought them out, and they're just unloading everything they had in stock in the old warehouse. So I was able to get one of these relatively cheap. And it's an all aluminum design, and you can see it's inset pretty far. And I'll pull the fan down and hold it up against it. You can see the gap. But the heavy duty cooling in an aluminum is a single core. But look at the size of those cores. That's a massive, that's over a 1-inch tube. So it'll cool just fine. Mounts up nice. And let me grab the fan, just so that you can see. Now I'm not going to bolt it up, but just so that you can see the spacing we're talking about here. When you hold a fan up against the pulley, the amount of space left. So let's talk about Jeep inline 6 cooling. If you had a fan clutch with a multi-bladed fan on it, you had heavy duty cooling. The standard cooling get situated here so I can talk to you. So standard cooling radiator. It was a thicker radiator with more tubes in it. But the fin count was less, and it had large tanks on it, but you had no fan clutch. It was a direct drive 4-bladed fan, very small fan. The heavy duty cooling was a single core radiator, single pass, single core, and it was copper brass. Smaller tanks, you had an overflow bottle, but you had like a 7-bladed fan that was massive on it with a clutch. So it was more, and the fin count, and I'll turn back and show you the difference, because this radiator they tout as being built to the OEM spec. Right? So the fin count is higher, so it's a more efficient radiator. So, and I'll show you real quick. So you can see, and just for reference from my thumb, right? You can see the size, the spacing of the cores, and the size of the fins in between it, right? And then if you look at this radiator, the cores are closer together and the fins are closer together. So it's a much more efficient radiator design. And I wanted, the problem we have with the 6 in the CJ with aftermarket radiators, because good God, you're not going to find a new copper brass unit, not for less than $1,000 custom built nowadays. So the problem with going aftermarket is finding the right one. And if you've got the 6 with a fan clutch, you have to have the heavy duty cooling, or you end up like my old radiator where you know, as the motor mounts wear and body mounts wear, and you hit a bump and the fan clutch jams into the radiator. Now you got a leak, you got to get it fixed. With this radiator, I've got room. Some other updates on the Jeep. Not a lot more to talk about. We've kind of halted everything because of the weather, because of current, everybody getting sick. So we've got more work to do. Now that I'm back healthy again, I can get caught up on customer cars, and we can get running on this. I think the next thing we've got to do, I think I talked about before, we had these mocked up. I've got to pull them back off and put that butyl tape behind everything, and then mount it back up. get my spacings, and then we'll start running a wiring harness. But I'm gonna walk to the office real quick and pull the invoice for that radiator just so I can give you the name, but I'll put a link in the description as well. I ended up buying it off eBay from them direct, and it was supposed to be like, and I ordered it like on I think it was a Sunday, and it was supposed to be, you know, shipping by blah blah blah, and it came fast. CG&J Incorporated, so Charlie Golf and Juliet Incorporated in Gadsden, Alabama is the company I bought it from. The part number, if you want to Google up the part number for one of these heavy-duty cooling radiators, and honestly, when you search it up, it'll say it's like for an 82 Scrambler. Same thing. It's JP, that's Juliet Papa 3006. And I'll put a link in the description to both companies, the original company that manufactured them and the company that has since bought them, and they're unloading the inventory, so you're getting them relatively cheap. The retail pricing for this radiator from Griffin, which don't get me wrong, Griffin makes great stuff, but they're expensive. The retail pricing for one of these radiators is upwards of $800 from them. I paid less than $400, and it's identical. So I'll put a link in the description for the radiator. That's all I got for today. Just wanted a quick update video. Like I said, I've been sick. I'm getting back at it. We got the crank back. We got the head back. The block is off at the machine shop to get bored. And then, of course, the new radiator for the CJ. So once again, if you like this content, go ahead and like, hit subscribe, hit that bell icon for future notifications. And as always, there's more to follow.